So I want to get this information out quick, so I'm going to talk kind of fast. But basically, people were saying that the death rate has not increased from COVID. And so I wanted to do my own research just to see what the numbers say. I love numbers because numbers never lie. Um, well, sometimes they don't. It depends on who's writing the number down. So here's the top 10 causes of death in 2017, 2018, 2019. And so for those 3 years, there were three main causes of death. Heart disease and cancer have always been the top two. Then we have injury and accidents, respiratory disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, the flu, kidney disease, and suicide. And those will change positions, in terms of the most, where they're ranked in the top 10. But for those 3 years, those were the top 10 causes of death. And so down here, this gives you the total amount of people that died in that year. And then that tells you, that was for the whole year. Okay, so we see that death actually increases as we go across because the population is increasing. And so, there's more people being born, there's going to be more people dying. Okay, now we get to 2020. First of all, these numbers are tentative. That means they have not been fully calculated. You got to imagine these are big numbers all across the United States. It takes time to get all the data in and get it organized. So these numbers are going to increase. Okay, so here was the final number after 11 months. Well, actually, it was still an estimate. So it's an estimate number for 11 of the 12 months of 2020. So this is not even a full count, right? These are all 12 months. This is only 11 months. You can see that, yes, there's just a slight increase there. But again, this is going to go up even more when the final numbers come in and we count in that final month. So we know the death rate has increased. But here's what I find to be strange. Well, first of all, I noticed that cancer, respiratory disease, and flu decreased, and in some cases significantly. And I'm like, wait a second, here's respiratory disease. That's quite a decrease. But, as I looked across, a lot of them fluctuate. And then I was like, well, you know what? Heart disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's, they increased. So some increase, some decrease. I thought that's really not significant. But what I thought was incredibly significant was that the accidents and injuries are not in the top 10 anymore. And I thought, well, what could cause that? It could be because people weren't working. And so the accidents weren't happening, construction shut down, but a lot of people were still working and they were still at home climbing on ladders and doing, all kinds of other dangerous things. I can see where that one would have decreased, but to completely drop off the top 10, I don't know. I found that to be kind of strange. Kidney disease was no longer in the top 10. I don't know. That's kind of a low number. So that I think would make sense. And then suicide is not in the top 10 anymore. And I find that to be very strange because I was kind of thinking the suicide rate would go up when people were in isolation, but maybe because they were with family, it actually decreased their opportunity. I don't know. I've kind of found that to be weird. And so mathematically speaking, let me tell you why I think it's even weirder. So in 2020, bacterial infections, it's called sepsis. It makes you really sick. It's from a bacteria that gets into your body. There were 39,000 people that died from that, and that made the top 10. So that means that these three missing causes of death were less than that. So in order for them to make the top 10, they would have had to have been more than 39,000. So basically, the amount of accidents went from these very big numbers, 170,000 people, to less than 39,000. And also then the suicide, that means suicide rates actually decreased, which if that is true, that's a great thing. That means the COVID actually saved some people from taking their own lives. Okay, but then we look here at the COVID and it was a lot. So it's the third cause of death. So, yes, I think we could say that, yeah, some of these were probably, or no, I don't want to be biased, could have been misdiagnosed. I really don't know how you could mistake an accident for COVID. So, I don't know. That's just, to me, that's very weird. But I think we can conclude that the death rate did increase. Okay, COVID did cause a greater increase in death. What I think is the question here is, was the increase that significant? So I don't know. I will link all of these resources in the description so you can fact check this yourself.